Jason Baffrey, we are live, sir.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Coach Talk TV, where we believe that coaching and coaches are an essential part of human development. You'll learn how having a guide in your own personal development can change your life, improve your relationships, and enhance your work experience. I'm Jason Baffrey. This is Rhonda Boyle. You are watching Coach Talk TV, where we have coaching conversations that matter. Good Monday morning, Rhonda.
Hey, Jason Baffrey. Hey, everybody. Wow, here we go with week 2 of our Discover Coaching series. Yay.
Yeah, and I said Monday morning. I guess it's actually Monday afternoon, isn't it?
I think it might be. Yeah.
Depending on where you are. If you're in, Western Pacific time, then it's still morning. So
it is. It's morning somewhere.
That's
Don't
right.
they say that sometimes? Except it usually has to do with alcohol and 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, but
That's what I was thinking. Hey, we would love to hear from you. So shout out if you are there. And we can't wait to introduce you to our guest today. That would be Valeyne Grotrian. She's coming in from Chicago, a career coach.
yeah,
Can't wait
I'm
to talk to her. Huh?
Yeah. I'm excited. She's going to have a lot of good stuff, especially for this day and age that we are experiencing.
Like for real, I think she's going to be like overbooked here in a minute, because I think that last time I looked, there were 17 million people out of work.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
I know. Yeah. We're at home quarantining.
Right. Yeah. I saw the other day where, in crazy stuff going on in Michigan, and they can't do anything up there apparently, but they had shut down like specific areas of Home Depot. So that means people are probably being laid off from Home Depot. I saw that Hobby Lobby had closed down all of their stores and furloughed just about all of their employees. So as we have gone through the weeks of quarantine and the virus and all of that stuff, I mean, just more and more people finding themselves without work, and it's a difficult time.
Yeah, look here, just checking in with our audience. We have Denmark popping in, although we can't tell who you are. If you want to give us permission, just go to streamyard.com/Facebook. And I'm hearing an echo.
Are you? Yeah, I think that's going to come and go. It's just one of those things we're going to have to deal with today.
Hashtag first world problems. Yeah. Here we go. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming in. I can't think I can deal with that.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything at all. So
hey, who is hearing me echo? Y'all let me know out there how we sound, because I may have to just back out for a second and then come back in.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I've been thinking about the whole situation that the whole world is in right now, and most of us are reconsidering some area in our lives. And a lot of us has to do with our career. So take over.
Yeah, there have been, obviously, as we've talked about, over 17 million people losing their jobs. Even more recently, companies, as I just mentioned, that are still continuing to close down or lay people off. There are many people are at home for the first time. Perhaps, their kids are home, so they're trying to figure out how to juggle giving their kids continuing their education while being stuck at home, and then many places not being able to go anywhere at all, no gatherings. But the main thing is, what do you do for your career? But this has given an opportunity for many people to really reassess their lives, and I think probably ultimately for the better in a lot of ways. We may not look at it that way right now, but I think as people see what the capabilities are, especially with the internet and the ability to have meetings and do your work from at home online and have meetings online, people are going to realize that, this is comfortable, and sometimes they can be more productive. Sometimes they can just change their career path altogether and go in a completely different direction. I think we're going to see, as we've talked about previously, a boom in entrepreneurship, people starting those jobs that they've had in the back of their head, but have been maybe afraid or just been so busy they haven't had the opportunity to take that step out in faith and try something new. But now they're getting those opportunities and their wheels are turning. And so we're going to see many more home-based businesses come to pass, I think, and entrepreneurship. And I think it's going to be exciting. It doesn't feel like it right now, but I really feel like we're going to see a lot of changes for the better. And think about families being closer together on a more regular basis and what this does for the family dynamic and that atmosphere. I mean, there's obviously going to be some frustration that comes with that. But even in my own home, we are experiencing just this more closeness. I'm not phrasing that well, but we feel tighter. We feel more connected with each other. We're able to have discussions that we wouldn't typically have, and it's just been a very interesting time. And we've been able to work with our son on his education, and really it's my wife that's doing most of that. I get frustrated too easily through that process, and it's just difficult. But nevertheless, I really think this is going to change the family dynamic overall for a lot of people, and they're going to see the possibilities and how much good that can come from being at home and even having your kids at home.
I think so. I think if we really focus on what we want out of this situation, like what do we want next? And that could be for a career, which happens to be our topic today. What do you want next for your career, or how do you want it changed? What can you take from the experience to make some of those amazing changes? But you might need a little help, and so that's really where coaching can come in, helping you make some of those decisions, helping you understand where your innate gifts and talents are, where your interests are, so that you can kind of start to put it together as a personal package of what it will take for you to be successful in the new world. What if we start calling it the new world? I kind of like that. What do you think?
That makes me uncomfortable, the whole new world order thing.
Well, can you? Oh, no, please, let's not go there. I didn't even oh, no, let me make sure that everybody understands that is absolutely not what I meant.
Okay.
Somebody is saying yay for homeschooling.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. The new changes, the new things that we get to do. Thanks. Good to see you. So, you know what I'm saying? We have here's where I go is we have opportunity to make positive changes in our lives.
Oh, absolutely.
So that we create something new out of the world around us. Yeah. How's that?
That's good. That's much better. I like that.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere for a new world order. So no, thank you. Anyway, hey, let's get on with our guest because she is bringing us amazing things. So let me introduce y'all to Coach Valeyne Grotrian. Excuse me. She is the founder of Agora Coaching and Training Solutions. She's a leadership and career coach who helps people shatter their false beliefs so that they can achieve a fulfilled career and life. Val, where are you at, girl?
Hey, everybody.
Happy Monday. You are. Yes, happy Monday. Coming in from Chicago. We are so glad for you to come in today because we know that you are a hot topic, or at least what you train on is. So
yeah, we'll be clear about that too. Just like the New World Order, right? It's not that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So glad to be here, guys. So glad. This topic is much needed, and I just hope it serves your audience and helps people.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really what we're here for, is to help people and to help people see how coaches can really help with some of these challenges that you guys may have. So help us understand really, there are a lot of people right now at home and they're anxious and they really have no idea. Some people don't even know if they have a job, or they found out they've been furloughed and now they're just waiting because somehow they're going to get unemployment dropped in their bank account or whatever. I mean, like, help us get through this initial stage that really a lot of people are in right now.
Yeah, gosh. First of all, if you're listening and you are in that situation, I just want to express my condolences, right? If you have been laid off or if you're concerned about it, I just want to say, hang in there. But I also think it's really, really important for us to start at the very top and say, okay, we've got to get perspective, right? We've got to get some really clear perspective and check our mindset on what is happening, because I think it could, this could very much be like a Chicken Little situation, right? The sky is falling, and it feels like that when you're in the middle of, I don't know, a pandemic, right? So, but it does not have to, like, here's what I want you all to know, like, this is not permanent. This is temporary, right? So quick story this brings up. I had to go to the doctor over the weekend for a non-COVID related situation that I had been delaying because, right, social distancing, that's what I was trying to do. Anyways, as I was researching what was going on with me over the past 4 weeks, by the way, y'all don't do that. Don't get on WebMD. Don't do that stuff. I mean, it will make your mind spin out of control, right? So by the time I got to the doctor, I had thought I had a disease that was going to kill me within like a day, right? Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I get there, I'm kind of a hot mess. And the doctor, after all my testing comes back, he says, Val, you're having a bad day. You're not having a bad life. And so I think that's the most important thing. And here's why this applies to you if you're in this situation, is to say, get perspective. Like, this is a bad moment. It's a hot minute, right? I know it feels like months. It's going to go on for a little bit of time, but this is not your entire life. So I think the first thing is to get that perspective and to really assess your situation from a very right perspective and not the chaotic perspective that the world can bestow upon us right now. And I think that will then lead you into the right strategy. So then you've got to really think about finances. Do you have a plan for your finances? What do you need to be making for the next few weeks? Because that's going to determine your short and your long-term goals. So I think that's the best place you can start, just very tangibly, is to get that right perspective.
Yeah, I think that in the middle of a panic that people lose perspective. And I so appreciate the story that you shared, because honestly, I do believe and have had people actually share with me that they have caught this virus in their mind.
Yes.
Like they didn't get it. Like they had a sore throat come on for a minute and it was actually pollen or whatever the case may be. But that their mind can, our minds control everything about our behavior. And so if our minds are spinning out of control with nowhere to go, then it becomes chaotic and it's subject to the worst possible scenario. But getting real practical. Okay, let's talk about the money for a minute. What's going on? And I think a lot of people may be dreading doing that, but it needs to be done. And the sooner it is, then you know where you need to go next, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Rhonda, it's interesting you say that, because I've actually had clients on both perspectives, right? I've had the ones that are just that very tangible, practical, okay, I can't control the virus. I can't control that situation. I can only control what I can control. And they jump right into the planning and let's get the facts out on the table. And I've had others on the other side who just can't get past the, oh my gosh, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, and it takes them much, much longer to get to this place of activation. And I'll tell you, just last week, I've had 4 of my clients that have landed interviews in the middle of a pandemic, right? When people are saying, wait, there's no jobs. True, many have been eliminated, but on the flip side, many have been created. So there's so much in this. Like, I'm not saying your positive mindset can just will a ton of jobs to open up, but what I am saying is that your positive mindset can absolutely keep you in the right space to attract the jobs that are there. Right.
Mm-hmm. Jason, what are your thoughts? Because positivity is something that,
doesn't exist for me.
Well, it's kind of like, that's not your first view.
No, it's not. And I think, I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking about my current situation, which I have my own business, but I've had the feeling, I can't find any new clients during this time because nobody's taking meetings. Nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody's at home. but, you know, and I'm not in the position, you know, where I'm necessarily going out and needing to find a job. But I mean, I'm even surprised to hear you say that people are finding jobs right now. So, I mean, that's encouraging. And I think for a lot of people might be encouraging, but how do we make that shift? How do we, I mean, do we just need to kind of dig in and start looking regardless of what our mind is telling us, just to be, you know, and hope that, like you said, you can't necessarily will there to be jobs available, but if there's stuff going on but we've talked ourselves out of even looking because we don't think anything's going on, then, I mean, that's a big hurdle to overcome initially.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Jason, I love this conversation. And I think it ties to coaches, entrepreneurs, and people in this career space who have been laid off. So I actually think this is the best time to be searching for a job. When most people would think, oh no, there's no jobs available, what do I do? Well, guess what? You know, here's an interesting thing. So a mentor that I follow was sharing this through a video training a couple weeks ago. In times of crisis, and just in general, like, we really have the choice to intentionally choose to be in 4 different states of mind. And one of them is victim. One of them is villain. So the victim, right, is like, oh no, this has happened to me. And it takes a really long time for you to get your mindset in the right place. The villain is anger comes out of that. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't control any of this. And now what am I going to do? And then you've got your hero and your guide, right? So the guide is like, it's that whole other side of the perspective. Like, I can guide people through this, or I could be the hero. And I really think this is the time for people to recognize this is the space to be in the guide and the hero. I mean, I thought it initially, right? I had that hot minute of pandemic. Oh no, I'm a career coach. If there's no jobs, what am I going to do? Right? Like, I absolutely went there. Of all people, me, I had that gut reaction. And then I immediately went, wait, if I follow that, that's not true. I actually think this is the right time for people to be considering their career and reflecting on what they want to do. And it's the right time for entrepreneurs too, right? It's the right time to really step up and be there to help people lead through this, because there are plenty of people who need that guidance and need that support, and they need a plan, right? So I think, to Jason, your question, the starting point very tangibly is choosing. It is an intentional decision to say, I will not fall victim or villain to this. And I'm going to do everything I can control, even though there are plenty of things that are not in my control. I will control what I can. So what can you control, right? You can control your personal brand. You can control what your resume says. You can control what your LinkedIn profile says. You can control how you reach out to organizations. You can control having a job search strategy plan. You can control, I mean, gosh, if y'all pop into your LinkedIn on the top right, they've got a little ticker there of here are all the places hiring right now. And those aren't just frontline jobs, right? Some people say, well, I was making $100,000 a year or $80,000 a year, whatever it is, right? A big salary. And they think, well, I can't go work for Instacart, right? Maybe you can't, maybe that's a short-term plan. You've got to think about short and long-term, right? I'm all about encouraging people to not settle in their career. I don't think you should settle right now, but I think you should make ends meet right now, right? Let's be responsible. I think that's important. So get a plan together and consciously choose.
That's great. I love that. The victim, villain, hero, and guide. I mean, that's just amazing. I think everybody needs to hear that. And that's so applicable to much more than even just the job search. I mean, if we looked at it from that perspective, it can really affect, your overall outlook about everything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who are in this place, Val, without a pandemic. Mm. They're in a place where they hate their jobs. I have had more than one person tell me they are thrilled that they feel the pressure of a dead-end job off of their plate. And now they know they're looking for something new.
Oh, I want to talk to those people.
Right? That's right. You do want to talk to those people. And those are the people who are really going to be able to hit the streets running, so to speak, as things turn around, which, as you said before, this is a temporary situation. Right. It's not permanent. There's no way. Here, you said it. This is a bad day, a bad moment. It is not your entire life.
Right. Thank my doctor for that.
Right.
You've really helped me get the right perspective in the moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's why I say when I talk to those people. So this might be just interesting for you guys. This is why I do what I do. So I worked in the corporate world for almost 20 years, right? I held varying roles of responsibility. I've worked in 5 different industries. I've been promoted 11 times. I've gone from individual contributor roles to leadership roles. I mean, y'all, I started my career making $5.50 an hour de-icing airplanes at an airport right out of school.
Wow.
And worked my way up to a 6-figure career. So here's what I can tell you. In that time, and the things that I'd learned being both on the manager and leadership side and leading my own team, and then being on the HR side and supporting leaders to lead great teams. Here's what I know. The research is absolutely clear. I mean, you hear it from a lot of polling companies. Gallup is one of them. There's, many others. But the reality is that, to your point, Rhonda, there are 15% of people who are actively engaged in their work. 15%.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
It is. So you think, now there's different categories of different levels of engagement. So the other 85% fall into a couple different categories, either actively disengaged or disengaged. But the reality is those 85% of people, think about, what does that do? I mean, we spend roughly a quarter of our lives at work. And as I went through the ranks in my career, I had jobs that I loved. I had aspects of my job that I did not love. I had situations that I had to get out of. I remember one job I went to, I was like, my boss is a real tool. I am not getting support I need. I got to get out of here, right? And I had only been there for 2 months. And I was like, I don't want to ruin my resume by making that decision. But I was one of those 85% of people. So think about the mental health, can you be a good spouse and a good parent? And of course you can be good, but can you be happy and fulfilled? No. So I think career satisfaction is so critically important. So yeah, if you're one of those ones that's sitting in this place, like Rhonda, you've had all these people tell you more than one, say, I'm so glad I don't have to do this job that is sucking my soul right now. That's a clear sign that something's got to change. And when I work with people, I help you go through a process to figure out, is it my company? Is it the career path I've chosen right now? Is it my boss? And roughly, right, the research shows clearly that the number one contributor to your situation at your work is your boss. It's the person you report to. So that's a huge assessment, and it's why I love what I do, is to help leaders become better and to help people land in the careers that they love, because we're better people, right? When we're doing a career we love.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've heard that most people leave their manager. They don't quit their job because of money. They use that as an excuse. But when the real survey, is done, they say, no, it was my boss.
Right.
So how many people now have had a break from their boss, and now have a chance to really reflect on what is it that they want in a boss, perhaps. Maybe that's the question. And this number really is disturbing, that 15% of people, only 15% are actively engaged in their work, which means that 85% are somewhat disengaged to one degree or another. So what a waste of talent.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jason?
So what is your suggestion, Val? I mean, what do people need to be doing right now, and what steps can they take, and how can you help them?
Yeah, well, I think this is going to come down to what category of people do you fall in. I've been looking at this current crisis that we're in that's so relevant and in front of everybody's face. There are some people, and I'm sure you've seen it all over social media, some people have all buku time, right? They have a ton of time right now. They are scrolling through Facebook. They're binge watching Netflix, some tiger show. I don't know, they're binging something, right?
That guy's from Oklahoma. Listen, we don't know him.
I was going to ask, do you know who he is? Oh my gosh. But yeah, so you have to do your first tactic after you get your mindset in check is to assess your time. And you need to know, where do you stand right now financially? Are you the person who has a ton of time right now, who has the ability to search for the dream, right? The thing that you really wanted? Or are you in a financial situation and with not a ton of time where you're looking at a short-term goal while you're working to the long-term goal? So that's the first thing you've got to do. If you're in the former, right? If you're in this category of, I've got a little bit of time on my hands, overnight, even though I've become an at-home school teacher and I'm trying to work, this is absolutely not remote work right now for many people, right? trying to balance working along with being a parent, along with being all of the things to all of the people, and they're doing it virtually, right? There's a beautiful component to that, but there's also some incredibly challenging components that I just want employers to hear, like, this is truly not remote work right now. This is not what it actually looks like when done well.
Correct.
Right. So I think that's important to acknowledge. But for people that are in that, hey, I have a little bit of time, I have some capacity, this is an important time to really sit back and say, assess in your career, what has been working in my career? What are the aspects that I love? And get really clear about it. Think about, when did you have your best day at work? What made that the best day that you ever had? And start to journal these things out. Why did that moment excite me? Or why did that project excite me? What are the things that I love? And assess, do I love what my company does? Am I bought into my company? Do I really, am I aligned with the leadership? Am I like, what does that look like? And then list out the things that you haven't enjoyed, right? The things that have just really sucked the life out of you. What's bringing you down right now? Because the last thing when I'm working with clients, I would hate for them to work with me, think they get clarity, land in a new job, and realize the grass isn't greener. And here's what I'll tell you, in all the years I've worked with people in their career, the grass is never greener on the other side. The grass is always grass, right? It's just, right. It's just, what kind of grass do you like, right? Like if you're in corporate America, every company is going to have its own set of conditions that maybe you don't like. But it's what are you willing to be okay with? Like, what environments do you work well in? So you got to
your
get
new
really
lawn
clear
is
on
going to end up with some bald spots. It's just all there is to it,
Right. Right. And you can't,
but it is really being able to narrow down what you really do want so that you can hunt more specifically, right?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the clients I'd worked with about a year ago, pre-pandemic mode, she had been in the real estate. She was a realtor, right? She had been selling houses for several years. And she was really thinking, like, this is good as I am at it. She got great results. She sold houses. Like, she had really great results. There were so many aspects of it she didn't love, but the biggest contributor for her was she wanted to start a family. And it was really getting in the way, like her being tied to the phone in that way. It was really getting in the way of her being able to start a family. So we went through a process of saying, okay, what are the aspects you love in it? What are the things you haven't loved in it outside of being tied to your phone? And we went through, some assessments. We did a few different assessments to help her get that clarity. She found out her true innate talents. She found out the way that she's hardwired, and she found a job. She's still in that job today. She's loving it. She made a complete switch into corporate America, and she's working in a human resources role. And I think, so this is the other barrier I see a lot of clients come to me with. And especially right now, they say, how could I ever do that? Because I've never had that experience. Well, this client had been a realtor for like 7 years. She had never worked in HR. It had been 7 years since she'd worked in corporate America. And even then she was on the operations side. So we can get in our heads so quickly, right? Mm-hmm. We can tell ourselves a story like, I'm not qualified or I'm not capable. When she saw her transferable skills and she saw, whoa, that's exactly what I'd be doing here. She was able to interview better. She was able to sell that. She got the job, right? She absolutely got the job.
There's a lot of people that are right now that may be looking at a change, but they've been in a job for a significant period of time and they haven't been in the job market. And obviously that seems like it's changed quite a bit over the last several years. What are some things that people need to look for if they've been in one job and now they're ready to find something new, but they're approaching the job market for the first time in maybe, like you said, 7-10 years, maybe longer? Things are different.
Okay. Things are definitely different, right? Overnight, we've gone into a virtual world and there's become a lot of uncertainty. Here's what I'd say. There are a lot of things that are still the same when it comes to your job search, right? And I've seen this out there. A lot of people saying, oh, the job market's completely different. The way we go about getting jobs actually isn't all that different, right? So, and that's, I think, reassuring for people to know, although we can talk really tactically about this. There are some things that have been incredibly hard about the job search, right? Like I know people who have submitted, I had a client that came to me a few weeks ago, 87 applications over the course of a month and 0 interviews, right? So there's those frustrating pieces, right? That still does exist. But the things that also have remained the same are the way that you network or need to be networking now. It's the same. Relationships still matter. You're just doing it online. And guess what? If you weren't doing it online before, you should have been. So right. LinkedIn is a great way to do that. You know, the 4 clients that I had just last week that landed interviews, the strategy that they used was all the same. They had a killer resume that sunk pretty well with the resume robots that are used these days, which I help them figure out how to navigate that. But beyond that, they made direct connections with people in their network. And I think this is important. If you're in the spot that Jason was just describing, it's to say, who do I know in my network? And it's to ask for help. It's putting it out there. You know, one of my clients last week said, should I be putting a post on LinkedIn that says I'm searching for a job? He was really hesitant to do that because it was pride, right? He was in this place of like, I really kind of feel like I'm the breadwinner. I don't feel comfortable putting that out there because I feel like I've failed, right? And that's a mindset thing. So again, we go back to perspective. We go back to mindset. This is nothing to be humiliated by. And neither is making a career transition. If you've been in a situation and now you're thinking job security isn't there, you want to make, it's like, there's nothing to be ashamed of there.
Right.
But network with the people that you know and start building relationships with people that you haven't yet met. Right. And you can do that beautifully through thankful for LinkedIn. It's amazing.
Yes. I love that. Network with the people you know and with people you haven't met yet.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a matter of being authentic. You know, one thing I'll say that I hate about that kind of networking is when I get canned, invitations.
Oh, yes.
I just want to know, hey, what you doing?
Yeah.
You're likely to get a real response from me if you're just truly authentic. Hey, just thought I'd check in. I don't know what you're doing. How's your quarantine? You know, instead of getting a canned message. So think about, that's what you're talking about when you're saying, you know, build real relationships. You can. I have been online. I don't even want to tell y'all how long, but you know, sometimes we do what we have. I lived in the boonies in South Dakota in the 90s and was the only person in the state, only one of 2 people in the state who had Prodigy when I moved in.
Oh,
that'll kind of date me. But anyway, so it is important, but it's about authenticity for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Rhonda. I mean, I'm sure this happens to both of you too. I mean, as an entrepreneur in that space, every day getting the canned LinkedIn message from people that can help us do whatever. And it's just overwhelming. So yeah, I think that says the same thing. You know, when I speak with a client directly, I'm talking with them about their unique situation and their specific situation. As a job seeker, you need to be doing the same thing with the employers that you're marketing. And I think come back to a resume, for example, if you're sending the same resume out to every company, you're not customizing or tailoring it to their specific situation, then I call that the spray and pray method, right? People just spray out their resume to 500 companies and pray that something is going to come back in return.
Not going to work.
Actually, I'm an advocate for don't apply to so many jobs, but submit to quality jobs that you actually want and make your resume speak to them because you want to speak directly to them. It's like, here's an analogy that I'm thinking about right now. It's if you were to walk up to somebody's house, like somebody you've never met, and knock on their door, and they open the door, and they stare at you and they say, hi, how are you? And you just stare back at them and say nothing. That is the equivalent of sending a blanket resume to an employer. It's the equivalent of sending a LinkedIn connection request with no customized, personalized message, right? We need to see that social media, be social about it, right? If you use it right, it can be very social and it can be the difference between you getting an interview and not. So let's break this down to some numbers. Let's say that 100 to 200 people apply for a job and maybe more. Out of those 100, 200 people, let's call it 100. If 100 apply, then let's say that maybe 10 of them intentionally customize their resume for that job. And then out of those 10, maybe 5 of them do make a direct connection to somebody that works at that company to try to get a in. But out of the 5, maybe they're doing it maybe 4 of them are doing it in a really generic way and 1 is doing it in a really beautiful way. And they're the ones that get pushed through for an interview because of the way that they reached out. So I think to Rhonda's point, it's really important the way that you're reaching out and customizing your responses.
For sure. I have another question I just want to ask about, because I know that a lot of this a lot of what companies are looking for is leaders. They're, especially today, they're wanting to make sure you can work independently, you can lead yourself, and so forth. But what have you seen your clients get wrong about leadership? Because there are some things out there that people are doing that may not be helpful to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is generationally, so many things have changed. Again, there's a lot of research that's backing what people want in their leaders. Like there's a lot of traditional things around leadership. Like people used to want in a job, they wanted a paycheck. Now people are looking for a purpose, right? Money's still important. That doesn't mean that money is not important. But we have new generations that are saying, I want a purpose. I want to be developed. I want to be coached. I want to have those opportunities to expand. I want ongoing conversations. I don't just want the annual performance review. So I think all those things are important for leaders to recognize that our world has changed. Our world, and not just because of pandemic, this is way pre-pandemic, right? For the last several years, like people are wanting a different work experience when they go to work, and they're looking for flexibility. They're looking for autonomy. They're looking for their purpose. They're looking for mastery, but they want somebody who's going to coach and invest and develop in them. And I think sometimes we get that way wrong, right? The top-down approach, it does not work anymore. That it's got to be really collaborative. And the other thing I think I see a lot is like leaders come into a situation where they feel like I have to know it all. And I know I personally was in that situation. I was promoted at a very young age. I became a first-time manager at 24 years old. I had a team of 14 people that were remote at that time, right? And this was way back in the early 2000s. And I was intimidated, I knew I was selected for the job and I had confidence that I could do it. But there were days that I felt insecure. There were days that I felt like, oh my gosh, but I don't know it all, right? I'm the youngest one on the team and I have to know things. So I think sometimes we think that because we have a title, we have to know stuff. Now, let me back up. We got to know stuff, but we don't have to know everything, right? So sometimes there's always going to be people that know more than us, and there's always going to be people that don't quite know as much. That's cool. Like we need to be learning from those who know more, and we need to be sharing the knowledge with the people who don't quite yet know.
Wow, for sure.
Yeah, that's nice. It makes me think of I had a managerial position back in the early 2000s, and I feel like I didn't do that well because similar things. I felt like I needed to know everything, and then pride got in the way and all of that. It just wasn't a good experience overall for me. We did some good things and accomplished some things, but I feel like as a manager, I was not fulfilling my true abilities there.
Yeah, I think thank you for your transparency. You're awesome.
Right.
I think we've all been, in a similar situation where maybe we just didn't know. And I think that's the time to seek on coaching. It's time to seek on mentorship, helping people become, like, awareness is the first step. And I think that's the beauty of coaching. And that's the beauty of what a conversation and working with a coach and having somebody that can help you really explore and reflect on what worked well today and what didn't work so well today. Those are really meaningful moments, I think, have been some of the most transformational for me. I mean, we talk about mindset and we talk about how important that is for you to having career success right now, whether it's to land a job or maybe it's long-term. Like, I think the number one thing I have seen that hold people back in their career, it's a belief pattern. It's why I say I help people shatter false beliefs. I remember a time when I was, must have been late 20s. My boss came to me and said, hey, I've got a role for you and it's perfect. And it's going to require a lot of creativity. And I really want you to take this role. I went home and I literally had a panic attack. Like, I told my husband, I'm like, what is he saying? I'm not creative. What is he talking about? And my husband's like, why are you saying these terrible things about yourself? Right? Well, hits me in the moment. rewind just a few years prior, I was sitting in a group coaching experience. And in this experience, we were asked to think about belief systems that we had maybe built up in the past. And one of the belief systems that had come to me through a pretty unfortunate situation, I can laugh at it now, but I was in third grade and I had a third grade teacher that had not been such a great teacher. She should have been retired, y'all. Like, she was 80 and she was cranky and she should not have been working anymore. But I had folded a piece of paper incorrectly, and she had told me that I would not be creative because I can't figure out how to fold the paper correctly. So I didn't even think of that situation, right? But now fast forward to here, I'm in my mid-20s and I'm being given this additional responsibility. I uncovered, oh my gosh, I got this belief that I'm not creative. And so then I engaged in a coaching process to really overcome that and understand. And y'all, I think I'm so creative now.
So amazing. And that sounds very similar to a story that Rhonda tells. And,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. About me yapping and finding my second grade report card, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rhonda.
Yeah. The teacher had written on my second grade report card, Rhonda cannot sit still and she won't stop talking. And then at the bottom, she wrote, Rhonda is not living up to her full potential.
Oh,
so I was 7.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrible?
I was 8. Yeah. See,
yeah, we're judged about that. Yes. Mm-hmm. So true. Hey, we have a quick question before we close here coming from the audience. Are companies understanding what you're saying? You know, you're saying that people are looking for purpose and that we want different work experiences and for companies to develop them. And the audience is saying, like, do companies get that?
Yeah, right. I know it does a lot of good if everybody not in the company understands that, right? Yeah, I think more and more companies are starting to engage in a process to understand that. So some of the bigger companies that I've worked with and for, I mean, they have used processes to measure employee engagement. They've had feedback sessions where they've heard some of this feedback from employees. Some of them have done it incredibly well, and others have done it, a great attempt, but haven't done it so well. I think intentions are good. So, I mean, I think it's, can I sit here and say every company knows that? I think some do and some don't. And I think sometimes it depends on, the amount of outreach that organizations have done to work with people and really, understand what the research shows and understand what people are looking for these days. But again, I mean, it comes down to your direct boss. So I think it's really important for companies to invest in their leaders, invest in their managers, help them. The best leaders, the best managers are the best coaches. So I happen to think that if you help your managers become better coaches, teach them how to ask questions that uncover people's desires, teach them how to explore people's potential and talent instead of directing and telling what to do. I think you're going to be far better off if you're an employer listening, to this. I think teach your leaders how to be coaches.
Yeah. I think the days of the every 6-month performance review where they spend 5 minutes telling you how great you are and then the next 40 minutes telling you what, where you've got to get better, and then put you through the further indignity of the performance improvement planner.
Oh, yes.
Those days have got to go because you're judging people, I understand, based on business needs, but you're having people do it in ways that are not necessarily innate for them, which means that it's harder. Those things that you got dinged on your performance review, like how many times are they going to write that up?
Right.
You're not getting better. You're not going to get better at it. Be okay with that and either find a new job or help your employer find a way to compensate for that because you're not going to get better.
That's right. And I think if you're in that position, if you are the person that is feeling suffocated by that, there are many things that you can do too, right? And I think it starts with the conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. So wonderful to hear all of this great stuff from you and something so timely, especially given our circumstances. So yeah.
I'm so glad to be here with you guys. You are amazing. I love chatting with you.
We want to direct everybody to you. So tell everybody how we can find you. We want our audience to find you.
Sure. I'm on all the social media platforms you could imagine. My first name, last name, we can pop that out there for you somewhere. I'm sure they can do it. But you can find me Valeyne Grotrian. Yeah, my full name, Valeyne Grotrian. The other ways, you can visit my website at careers.agoracoach.com or agoracoach.com. So careers.agoracoach.com or agoracoach.com.
Awesome. Anything that we have forgotten, I'm going to ask you to go in later and pop into the chat box, and then we'll have that for anybody who sees the replay.
That sounds fabulous.
All right. Thank you. Val. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you in the green room after.
Okay. Sounds.
Oops.
I got a little quick on the trigger there.
Oh, wow. Wasn't she fabulous? And like I said, timely, because a lot of people.
There's a lot of people that need to watch this and just, change their perspective, I think was a big thing that came out of that. And, but then also some really good practical information on how to work social media, LinkedIn, and so much more. And then the opportunity to, if you are in that situation right now that you really, you're deciding to make a career change or anything, I mean, I think this is a great opportunity to reach out to a coach. Certainly, we don't want to overload Val, but I think you should reach out to her because, I mean, she seems to be just brilliant on that. And so, take this opportunity to really kind of dig in and better yourself, better your circumstances, change your perspective. And you can do that by finding a coach. Yeah.
Hey, Bettina, good to see you. She's been watching from Denmark. So good. Making us international.
Again. Yeah.
Hey, so reach out, find us at www.coachtalktv, and we will see you tomorrow. We've got another great show lined up, and we can't wait to see you.
Yeah, you can also find us on YouTube. Just search Coach Talk TV on YouTube. You can watch us live. Subscribe to our channel. Ring the little bell to get notifications when new shows come out, which will be every day this week. And if you want to listen to the audio as you're driving, if you're able to get out and drive these days, or you're just working around the house and you want to have something cool to listen to, you can pull up our podcast on iTunes or Spotify or Google Play and all of the other great podcast outlets that exist out there.
Hey, they may ask us for our autograph one day, huh?
Well, if we ever get out of the house and anybody sees us in person, then that could be possible.
Hey, thanks for joining us, and we will see y'all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day.